And good morning. Happy Friday. It is Friday, I hope. I hope it's Friday. Oops. Did I do that too early? I did. All right. Well, I tabbed to the wrong thing. We're going to stare at this for a little bit. How's everyone doing today? First. That's funny. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Gotta get used to the schedule. I'm trying to find my phone stand. Been doing so many file changes at work. I think I've got nearly 100 files changed with this latest thing that put me behind by like a week. Oh, what is this? Ooh. And what is this? Tell us about this. I got a couple more things to set up. Berlin noise. Oh, nice. And what are you rendering that in? Matty Live? If you don't mind sharing. Oh, you're doing that in Godot. Oh, lovely. So that's in Godot. Nice. Are you doing those triangle fans or triangle strips with noise? Kind of like we were doing with the skirts and whatnot. That looks pretty cool. Oh yeah. So what I mean by that, it's black. Hold on. Looks like I didn't get one piece set up. So yeah. Inside of some of the procedural generation that we've been doing here, like the skirt or the piece around the edge here with the little vines hanging down is actually a triangle strip. It's hard to show in this because they don't actually show the wireframe on it. but essentially it is, oh, you know what, we have a sprite here. It's this over here, and this is a triangle strip, the yellow piece. That's pretty cool. All right. So we're going to go back into the proc macros. I think I've got everything set up. You know what? I've got the background music on too. Kill that. There we go. That's what you're doing? Oh, that's cool. You can't get the other axis to match. You think you need Good Noise 3D instead? Oh, you mean you can't get them to match up? Oh, interesting. You probably don't want to use a triangle strip then, but an array mesh. So instead of something like that, with the noise being the same for, let's say, both of those points, because it looks like the height is the same for both points in the strip, where you actually want them separate. So you have to sample for more points in the mesh. At least that's kind of what it looks like to me. I might be off. Either that or they're drawn backwards. Like this one is next to the next side. Could be that you have them flipped. It's hard to say. But it's looking good. Oh, I see Godot up there in the top left corner. Yeah, there's a little icon. All right, so yes, my schedule is changing a little bit. I am starting to do breakfast and coffee before the stream instead of taking the 15-minute break in the middle. So I will be doing breakfast from like 6 to 6:28, and then coming out here, and I'm starting to stream then. So it's basically roughly 6:30 to 9:30. I'm going to try to hit 6:30 at the beginning, and however long we go is however long we go. So depending on meetings and work, whatnot, it'll change a bit. So let's see, where did we end up with this? Let's give this a cargo test. Ooh, path segment something something. We were working through and trying to get optional fields working, right? So this is the text. And for those that are didn't get the last stream, we're working through Detolne's Proc-macro workshop. If you haven't seen his stuff, it's really cool. Where is it? Just come in here. It's one of his pinned repos in his GitHub. Yeah, down here, this Proc-macro workshop here. Oh, and I had to check something real quick. Oh, holy cow. Okay, I was not expecting that download to finish overnight. I updated Xcode. It's like so many gigabytes. I do not have the fastest internet connection in the world. Then I also forgot to put on my computer glasses. So let's try this out. So who knows if that's actually going to get in our way today? This Xcode bit, it might. Hopefully it doesn't. We'll see. All right. So we're making these. We're creating a proc macro that creates a builder given a structure. So in most cases, or everything that we've worked up to so far, everything has been required for the builder. But now we're starting to see things that are optional. For example, this current directory is now optional. So if we see that something is wrapped in an option, we should not require that it be provided to the builder before build is called on the builder. You can see in this case, current dir is not provided, but down here current dir is provided. So that's what we're trying to solve at the moment. So if we come into here, the little trait is option and then inner type. So we're just going to check to see if this thing is an option. I changed it to be on the type instead of the field. We should be able to change that down below. We're using matches with a guard, which I didn't know that we could actually do last time. And it's just fantastic. But that is such a neat little pattern. Let's return a Boolean if this. So we have our little destructuring here, reaching down into the types, using destructuring, and then if path is that, we return true. I mean, that could have been so much more code. that is so nice and terse, almost as brief as some of the Erlang pattern matching. But this does types. Like, I guess Erlang does types as well, but if this were Erlang, I think we would have had something more like option there on the left instead of the constraint on the right there, the guard. All right, then we got this big commented out blob that we're gonna go down past. And then we're trying to get the inner type. Now, given that we're doing this off of type, we're destructuring down to this part and getting the path so we can have the guard. All right, we're doing this little @bind here, and I don't know. This actually took me a couple minutes to look up. I don't know, like 15 minutes. Because you can bind things as you destructure so that you can use them in the guard. I wanted two things. I wanted to have path and the segments. So if the path is used in the guard here, then later I want to be able to use segments. So it's possible to do in Rust. It's actually quite powerful. It's a nice feature. All right, so then given these types here, let's mark this as unimplemented yet. That should silence the editor. So given sin and its type path, which then has a path, we need to check to see that the contents of the type inside of it. So going back to these instructions over here, we've been able to identify that something is the option. Now we want to know what the inner type is. Because on the builder, we want our type that's provided to be this type here. Oh, looks like Xcode finished installing stuff. All right, so I need to know a little bit more about the segments here in path. Let's go look at that. segments. So they have methods here. Get ident is ident. If this path consists of a single ident, return the ident. Oh, interesting. Let's look and see what that does. So is ident. Get Saturday meta items. If attribute path is ident Saturday. I see. So in this case, you'd be looking to see if a attribute was on an element itself, and then if that path was Saturday. Yeah, I think we have to look at the segments. So let's look at the segments. Segments in this case is punctuated. Parse separated, non-empty, parse terminated. Oh, interesting. Push, pop, punct. Looking at the traits on the left now. Into iterator. Because what if somebody provides something inside of the option that isn't just a single element? I guess we're really only dealing with something that has one element. So we could check its length. That was a function. Oh, on line 121. I did not adjust this for the type. And I think we just wanted to call it as option. So if it's an option, we return the inner type. Okay. Pattern bindings after an at are unstable. Oh, what does that mean? Go back into lib. It's up here. Do we have to bind two elements? Implementation history. Okay. On December 24th, on Christmas Eve, 2019, contained the initial implementation. It landed. PR was written by Central and reviewed by these two people. And then it was disabled. It was too hard to handle, and then soundly the AST borrow CK. Interesting. I wonder if a decent workaround would be oh, you can't do that there. But you can continue to destructure. And the type for that was... Let's close those. We don't need those. It was punctuated, wasn't it? Why aren't we just looking at the entirety of that? It seems like we don't have to look inside of that. We just want like the whole thing, kind of as a, I guess, as a string. It does implement iter, doesn't it? Morning, Nightshade dude. Espresso may not solve all of your problems, but it's worth a shot. Oh. That's a keeper. Well, I lost the, oh, there we go. All right, let's try to do this without these other issues. So we'll just have path, and we'll get segments out of that later. So we're not going to keep destructuring that. We'll have to get path segments, because path should have segments, as we saw. Path has segments. Now, if we want that type returned here, this isn't going to be a type, is it? We have to return some sort of. Now, what can we take this punctuated down to? We could return punctuated. Because we're going to need to know the entire type to put in into the struct. All right, so with syn punctuated, a punctuated sequence of syntax tree nodes separated by punctuation. Lots of things in Rust are punctuated sequences. We're looking at this one like so. So I see in this case, punctuated field token, that makes sense. This would be like arguments. This here would be something else like what we're dealing with here. Ooh, type parameters, that's interesting. Sorry, this is like just normal operators. So A plus B plus C. Expressions. Oh, these are type parameter bounds. Ah, for the type lists. So for generics, things like that. And I am so glad I did this after a year of learning Rust. So maybe we do want to just return this as is. Now, what is the relationship between a type and a punctuated path segment? Don't try to remember the name of this type. Use token macro instead. What? What is this? Going down the rabbit hole. Parsing. Keywords and punctuation can be parsed through the parse stream parse method. Delimiter tokens are parsed using the parenthesized, bracketed, and braced macros. Impl parse for item static. Hugo Gold, missing medieval servant. Uh oh. It came back, page not found. Oh, that's good. I do tell these to the kids. Like later today, they're going to be hating you. Thank you. This is a good one. You're done. That was a good one. Peeking and parsing. Oh wow, yeah, I can see why. Shouldn't try to remember all of those. I mean, most of them make sense. But we are returning type there, and that type is public enum type. I don't think this is really what we want, is it? Because what if they had some example that wasn't just string, but it was standard string or something like that. Tell my kids they're welcome. Yeah, we'll do. So today I got coffee early, which is nice. It's part of the new schedule, starting at 6:30 a.m. instead of 6 or 5:45. So we're going to be skipping the break later. Your kids just blow you off when you tell them jokes. I usually do that when they're like a captive audience, right? At mealtime, you want to eat, you gotta listen. That and they like some of them, so I think they kind of wait between them. Right? Some are good, some are bad. I loved like the slow burn ones where you tell the joke and then a couple seconds later they get it. so this ident here, this field has a type. I feel like I'm looking at the wrong one. Field, size, type. Oh, I see. So it could be a path. And then we have path here, and then path has segments. Oh, got it. So we really want to just return type : path in that case. Oh, how do we match those up? Because in this case we have a... Oh, we just return the type path. No, the path is the option. So in this case, that's the option. We want to know what the element inside of it is and basically wrap that up in a type path instead. So this path segments needs to be wrapped up in a type path so we can return it. And then type path. All right, so Q self is going to be none in this case, and I think path here is just going to be where something can go into path segments. Perfect. So we should be able to take this, our path segments, into a path. Segments. Expected a reference. Oh, I see. I don't think we can't really borrow that, can we? Because it's a local. Starting to get to know these types a little bit. So we're going to go to a type path. Path segments. It's punctuated. And I thought punctuated.
Baby, I'm calling out. Stay
right, down the rabbit hole again. Not this one. Not token type. We want type. There we go. We have to go into a path first. The trait bound ident from sin punctuated path is not satisfied, and two others. See, I thought we could actually use this here because we're going from a path segment. We're not. Not yet, anyways. Yeah, and that's why the error has ident on it. Oh wow, this is big. So how do these two marry? Type path as that path, but that's the option on the outside. So we're trying to go from segments into this other type. Extend from into iterator, 2 tokens. Because we have a punctuated element of path segments. Alright, did we miss something else on sin type? Because there might have been something else there. Tuple stream, token stream, kind of verbatim, take that. That's not bad. Our function group, infiltrate, infer, macro, never, paren, path. We're trying to use that one. I don't think some variants are omitted. Is that because I didn't want to close it? Alright, I don't see it in there. So we could just use the token stream. Which would work here. Let's see. So we just want to know what the type is. Kind of verbatim. Take whatever they're giving us, put it in there. I want to go from type path. With the path, look into there. Segments. Does punctuated implement token stream? 2 tokens. There we go. So we can call 2 token stream on that. Doing Proc-macros. Good morning. Patatas del Papa. We are doing proc macros today. Let's see, it was 2 token stream. I don't think we... Let's get rid of that one. Move guard to arm body. What? Sure, try it. No, I don't want to do that. It's basically telling me that this 2 tokens from quote is not in scope. Yeah, okay, and this is more along the lines of what we expect because it's a temporary reference. Well, it's a reference to a temporary value. Good, okay, at least that's good. A little strange. What do we want? So we'd have to clone it at that point. That gets a little weird. Or we just return the token stream. I'm a little conflicted. Do we copy or do we try to figure out the borrowing here? Because in this case we take that off so that we're not having some sort of local, then we would be returning a token stream. And that would consume self, which we probably don't want to do. In this case, it would just borrow self. So we could just return a token stream instead. Oh, am I using the wrong token stream? Proc-macro token stream. Yep, definitely want the other one. And that's Proc-macro 2 token stream. Aren't those the same thing? All right, we're going to go ahead and add that. Was it proc-macro? Yeah. Mayo is a horse. Mayonnaise. Oh. Oh, we're definitely torturing the kids with that one later. That is quality right there. All right. Well, it looks like it has proc macro. Unresolved import. How do we import proc macro 2? Proc underscore macro 2. If parsing was sin, you'll use parse macro input instead. Okay. Feel like we shouldn't be using this for some reason. Proc macro 2. Strange. And it did not complain about that. Well, sometimes it did. Yeah, okay. So how do we resolve this? In some cases, like the input here is going to be that type. Proc macro token stream, okay. Just be explicit. And the return type, same thing. I'm seeing a little bit of a discrepancy between what COC sees and what the compiler sees. Oh, you did it! Let's take a look. And is this still using the triangle strips? Oh, nice. So what was the issue? That's cool. All right. Looks like it's taking a little bit longer this time. I'm actually gonna quit out of there. Yeah, now the issue's gone. All right. Vim caught up. It was flipped. Ah, okay. Nice. Have you figured out how to do uh, so that the back faces are also drawn? Because I would like to have some transparent triangles visible from both sides. But I'm not sure how to do that in Godot. It's been a long time since I've done that. I don't remember the magic for that. Alright, let's get rid of some of this that we're using. And I would like to consolidate some of these pieces. We're going to get the optional type back. Yeah. Maybe something like that. I don't know. What I'm thinking is that in most cases, we're not going to need this as option. You would enable backface calling. Oh, I see. What kind of game is this? At the moment, we are learning a little bit of code in order to further our game. Project. So we've been working on building out procedurally generated islands. Right. So here's, you can see the border here, and it just has a couple of textures on top of each other at a different intervals, so it doesn't look like they're repeating. Then we have some sort of noise on there. Along with kind of on the bottom. The bottom needs, I think, a little love, right? I just don't like the ice cream cone sort of shape to it. But it is what it is for the moment. And these typically would end up in a zone. Oh, drat. I can't show the zones at the moment. But with a cluster of these. Oh, you see, it is Godot, yeah. And we're using Rust inside of Godot using GD native. Morning, JT. How's it going? And this has also been a little bit of an adventure to learn Rust. So, in the past, I've worked on kind of MMO backends, and I wanted to make a kind of personal multiplayer game. So it's MMO-esque, and we're building the backend server out using Godot. Excuse me, not Godot, using Rust, and the front end using Godot with Rust in it. At the moment, we are in a Rust learning phase. We are trying to learn some more Proc-macros so that, well, so we can build out our own macros and so that we can enhance some of the macros that we actually want to be able to use inside of Godot. GD Native has some macros already, and I would like to extend one, so I wanted to learn how to do that. currently working through the Proc-macro workshop. Down here. Calling the one saying back, set that to disable. Oh, I see. Oh, nice, nice. Okay. So in here, basically, notice how you cannot see the back of the vines at the moment. You can see the front of the vines. They do surround the entire island, but you cannot see the back of them. So if we went to the border, let's see, there's our material. No, I think, where do I have to do that? That's on, is it in geometry? Oh, that's on the spatial material. Okay. I don't know where that is. It might be something that I have to pass as I'm generating the array mesh, because we are doing that programmatically. I don't know if I have access to it here. See, that surface doesn't have anything. This does, but it's not the same thing. Alright, I will have to look at that later. So for our proc macros, we were trying to get this builder to work. Inner type. We were going to change this to f.ti.optional type. Get rid of that code. Now what's going on here is we are building up some of the setters for a procedural builder macro. And we needed to get the type correct. So if it was an optional type in the struct, we want the inner piece of that to be here in the arguments. All right. So that's going to work there. It's going to fail later. All right. Cargo check. Let's give it a test. Why is it compiling sin twice? Test 1 of 1 failed. All right, and we actually want, so in the progress list here, let's do multiple tests. I want to make sure that I didn't break the other ones. We're getting warnings, but they're okay. And the 6th one failed, which is expected. Okay. Let's clean up some of those at the top. Let's get rid of the warnings. Okay, good. Much better. Expected enum option, found string. we go up one, cargo expand, we should be able to see the code that it's generating. So I guess it's probably best if we look to see what this started with. So we're creating this macro, this proc macro here. We have Baz, and it's creating a bunch of code so that we can use a builder pattern for the structure. We're trying to create optional elements there. Okay, so we have a Baz with a foo and a bar, and the bar is optional. And then if we do the expand on this, you can see that the foo, okay, start at the top, is our struct. And we're implementing that. We're adding a builder to it. So we return a Baz builder because it's called Baz. And then our Baz builder, ooh, that has an option string. Well, we don't want that. We'll have to fix that piece there. It should still be an optional string here, is how we have to set up the builder. Now the foo looks good still. We are replacing the option. Here, the bar should not take an option string. It should take something else. Oh, that bar. Oh, hold on a sec. Where'd it go? Difficult to tell on this channel. Yeah, it's like that one time a snake walked into a bar. The bartender asks, "How'd you do that?" We've got a couple of bar jokes. A, C, and E walked into a bar. The bartender says, "Sorry, I don't serve minors." C then leaves. A and E share a fifth together. That's a music one. We got a couple others. All right, let's just keep going. What is that one? Nice. All right, so let's fix this here, where bar needs to not have the option. See, I thought that was going to be from the optional type here. Is this not returning the right type? It might not be. The "this is fine" meme. Oh, I see. All right, there's our validation up top. Work on fields. So our fields here also need to be the optional type. Our defaults will all be none. Our setters here. See, I thought this was going to be the right type, but here it didn't pick up the right kind. That TY there should have been something else. So our optional type is still failing. So our path segments 2 token stream is not correct somehow. Let's ePrint line that. Segments. Question mark. Oh, path, not segments. That might be a little chatty. Yeah, see, we're still getting the wrong type here and here, which is what we were just trying to fix. Is that function not getting called? Oh. So we're just getting this here. No wonder. Alright, so we're just falling into that case. Almost. Got my fingers. There we go. That should give us a little bit more chatter. There we go. Let's just go back up to the top here. Or far enough. Oops. I resized that in a bad way. Fix that. Gotta resize everything. Okay. So we have a path. It's a type path. So for whatever reason, this isn't matching. So we match self with path, type path, and path there. If path is ident option, I wonder if it's the is ident that's failing. Should that have been on self? Because we had a path on the outside and we have a path on the inside. I think I'm looking at the wrong level here. Oh, that's type. It's in type path. I expect those to be the right types. Let's remove the constraint just to see if we're getting into the right section there. Comment that out. We should now see segments. Alright, so we are seeing segments. Hey, Brooke Zerker. Good morning. And welcome, Raiders. All right, take care, Brooke. Have a good meeting. Oh, here's another good joke. Sometimes we do good, bad jokes on this stream. They're clean, so family friendly. Getting paid to sleep would be my dream job. But morning, Chantilly Cake. Let's just do path there instead of the other piece, because we didn't print out enough to be able to figure out what went wrong. Path. So in this case, we should be able to see if the ident is option on that. So if path is ident to option, then let's print that out. Because it looks like it should work. While that's compiling, I want to check over here. Oh, wrong docs. Path is ident. For them to compare equal, it must be the case that the path has no leading colons, the number of path segments is 1, the first path segment has no angle bracketed or parenthesized path arguments. Ooh, has no angle bracket. Oh, that could be an issue. Alright, we'll have to check to see if that works. Yeah, so that's failing. I wonder if it's failing because the option. Alright, so going back to just printing it out, failed to remove something up there. Interesting. Why did the guy rob a bakery? He needed the dough. Ba-dunch. Alright, so in this case, yes, we have angle bracketed options. So the path segment ident should be able to check that the ident of the segments Let's see what the first segment is here. I'm hoping that is the option. Okay, so that path segment there is an option. If let somewhat, what is this type on this? Is it a segment? Path segments first. So if we do have something, is ident option. I just want to see if that outputs anything. Oh, it's not on path segment. Oh, just ident. And did they have partial order on that to T, partially equal T? As ref star sized, okay. So if that can be equal to there, we'll do our little check. So are y'all learning Rust or game dev? What are your interests? I think we'll just drill down in here and see if we can, if something matches. Otherwise, we'll fall back to self.toTokenStream. Curious with Rust, mostly web dev. Nice. I do web dev as my day job. I do this for a couple hours a day. So JT, you know, I guess, of course, JavaScript. Are you familiar with other languages as well? All right. I think we want to take the arguments args as our token stream. Oh, our job's tech stack. Sure. The company is historically a Rails shop, actually. I don't do Ruby. So I do mostly stuff on the front end. I keep trying to worm Rust into the tech stack, actually. Everybody was really resistant to Erlang, so I'm hoping that Rust actually lands a little better. But on top of that, it's kind of, single page web app um, in most cases. And from there, it's straight up JavaScript, um, using Babel, Webpack, etc. React. Yep, React. I'm a little. I'm becoming more and more critical of React the more I use it, because I think they hide too much inside of it. I think context is actually a bad thing for React. I think it makes maintaining the software difficult. And it introduces, yeah, the context API, which basically powers set state, right? So if you're using functional stuff, it's behind the set state. And that little magic pocket of state, I think, gives people the ability to, like, it's a giant foot gun for React. And I think it's very, very powerful, but I think there are libraries out there which kind of misuse it or do things that they don't express in their documentation or the public APIs. So the current rewrite that I'm having to do again, right, there's constantly stuff that we pull off the shelf, try to use, and then we have to adjust our code base to match how they want to use them. What do I think of Redux then? I like the pattern of Redux. I like having the reducer pattern. It makes things obvious. And when things become less obvious, then you end up having more issues. So I personally don't think one-page apps should be gigantic. You shouldn't be downloading 20 megs to run a web page. Yep, it does. It can do that behind the scenes, yeah. And it actually has that as part of the API, but I mean, quite frankly, I think that React isn't opinionated enough. Oh, that should be path segment. So path segment has a arguments. And arguments, path arguments, are either one of those three. I see. It's going to have to be this one. Otherwise, you'd go with Vue than Angular. Yeah, Svelte isn't widespread. Everything is so slow, yes. And there is a Rust project called Swick, which is aiming to kind of replace Babel slash Webpack. And it is so much faster. It just doesn't support everything I need at the moment. Here, let me toss that into chat for you. But this one is built using Rust. And it's much, much faster. "41 operations per second." Even the slowest one up here. 712 operations per second. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this I'm not a huge fan of the the tool chains for web development stuff. It's all over the place, right? You could have rollup, you could have Webpack, you could have all these different options. It's kind of like bring your own system. Nobody does kind of web dev the old way, where you just concatenate a bunch of files together and you're done. Everybody's got nobody uses like vanilla JS anymore, which is too bad. I think it's a symptom, it's a side effect of, uh, of JavaScript itself. Oh, are we? That's interesting. I don't know where SWC would fit on Are We Web yet. But you're right. You're right. It should be on there. All right. So this path segment's first. Actually, I want to do some destructuring in that sum. So path is a path. All right. Oops. And then we have segments, which is punctuated. I'm going to break that down in here. Oh, Jake the programmer. Tell a bad joke, yes. Why shouldn't you fart in the Apple Store? Because it doesn't have Windows. Actually, let me see. Do we have a section for Jake the programmer? Oh, we do. Oh, the last joke you told us was, what do you call a singing computer? Adele. Gotta admit that, though. All right, so we have punctuated, path segment, yada yada there. Oh, I see, but then we needed to get first on this, so we can't do that. That's gonna be whatever T is. Okay, so I can't do that way. Because first returns whatever T is, which in that case, so we have punctuated, it's going to be a path segment. All right, a path segment has an ident. We should be able to compare that to option, and the arguments are path args. Angle bracketed. And the arguments in this case, inside of that, we'll just call args. Hopefully we get that right. Because if that matches, we could just return that. A couple of imports. Can you do guard there? Probably not. Yeah. Those are the best worst jokes you have. I'd be curious if I can convert you if you can convert your current Node.js code to Rust. If you want to make that step, I think it's worth a try. I mean, getting in there and just coding in Rust makes you better at Rust, and it's going to take a while. I would say Rust is bigger than like JavaScript. But there is so much in Rust. Yeah, and if you have questions while trying to do that, hop into Discord, ask away. Oh, it did match. Look at that. Args, angle bracketed generic arguments. So we could just take the args off of that and return the type. Perfect. You don't see much Rust in the your job market. I was looking at that too. I do think that it's growing, and I think that every big company I know of, like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, maybe Netflix now. I think all of these like big companies like that are using Rust. So there's only a matter of time before smaller companies get more comfortable with the idea of using Rust. Oh, that's funny. All right, let's see if our test works. The only job you get is dealing with mechanics since the word Rust appears. Expected option found string. Ooh, this sounds like a good change. Let's double check this. All right. Oh, good. Bar, which is an option here. We did get the string out of it, which is fantastic. That is good. It's not a startup. Yeah. Like, I get why people don't... Oops, foreground there. Wrong window, foreground over here. The companies are always hesitant to be the first movers on stuff like that. And that's understandable, right? Let's say you have some hot developer come in. Sorry, hot shot developer come in. And, they write all this Rust code. And then they leave. What do you do? Right? All right. Well, 4chan is fast. 4chan's really fast. All right, so line 62, current dirt. Yeah, I think this is due to the build code. I didn't get everything right down here. So if we went back to main and tried to actually use this, this should fail gloriously. Let builder equals as.builder. And here's our error. Okay. If you had the opportunity to get into a Fortran development position, you'd take it. Oh, wow. Those matches expand into a lot of code. I guess they didn't here. What got expanded? Into AST. Interesting. What is going on here? Feels like that's failing cargo check. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. Oh, no wonder. It's like, what is going on? Okay. Oh yeah, should be colon. I get that. Oh, string, that's good. And build here. Oh, I see. This needs to be different. Because if we take that off of self, we need to know whether or not this is optional so that we can take it in a different way. All right. So let's go back to lib. So our builder, where we end up building here, we create a number of variables and then we put all of them onto the other object. So where we are building these variables needs to be changed. Typically what we do is just take out of the option, toss an OK or else on it, and go on with it. But we want to do that if it's not optional. If it is optional, we'll just do the take without the OK or else because we want the option. So if it's option, we'll do one thing. Otherwise, we'll do another. There we go. Hey, Game Dev Unknown. How are you doing? That didn't work. Is option. Oh, that's right. And as we saw earlier, this if condition doesn't actually work. Not on an option because of the angle brackets. Working on islands. I am not currently working on islands directly. We're working on something that we're actually learning Proc-macros. So we're going through the Ditolne's Proc-macro workshop. That's too bad that wouldn't work. Sorry, I was just looking at the code down here, thinking, how could we actually do this match in a nice terse way up here? Because here we have path, and then we have to get the first path segment if path dot segments first. See, then I guess we could map that into a some or none.
Television advertisements. I think "Eat Fresh" is a great slogan. They managed to convince an entire continent, if not the globe, that eating a foot of bread was somehow good for you.
Oh, that just feels kind of gross, but I think it would work. Technically, we do not need the arguments. Can elide those. If maybe missing an else clause. I find that odd. That is a bit odd. Oh. Yeah, we're not filling all those in. So in this case, we could have the else, or I wish there was a way to actually match this on this side. How do we break down an ident? See, it's got span and some other stuff. I don't think that we can actually use partial equal for this on there because for whatever reason it doesn't want to match that at this point. But maybe with a match we could. Just playing around with some of the match syntax, trying to get a little bit more comfortable with it. Kind of take these opportunities to do that. All right. Oops. Ah, come on. All right, missing match arms. Yes, yes, yes. So the other sums, we're going to match into the false as well. That should be an OR there. Okay. That might work. It seems like a lot of work to be able to kind of decompose that. There must be an easier way. I wonder if we'll get into that. All right, and now for bar, it's just a take. Perfect, that worked. So for foo, because it's not optional, we have the OKRLs and say that such and such has not been done. And for bar, straight up. Okay. Let's make sure we've passed number 6 there. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so 6 is done. Time to uncheck number 7. Nixie Div tells a bad joke. Why were computers cleaner back in the day? Because everything is all gooey now. Oh. That one we're going to preserve. Actually, I did. Oh, okay. Had to get sections set up for you. Repeated field, so 07. Alright, the standard process command builder handles args in a way that is potentially more convenient than passing a full vector of args to the builder all at once. Look at the field attribute builder on each field. Look for a field attribute builder on each field. The generated code may assume that fields with this attribute have the type vac and should use the word given in the string literal as the name for the corresponding builder. Oh, I see. For the corresponding builder method, which accepts one vector element at a time. In order for the compiler to know that these builder attributes are associated with your macro, they must be declared at the entry point of the derived macro. Otherwise, the compiler will report them as unrecognized attributes and refuse to compile the caller's code. Proc-macro derive attributes builder. I see. These are called inert attributes. The word inert indicates that these attributes do not correspond to a macro invocation on their own. They are simply looked at by other macro invocations. If the new one-at-a-time builder method is given the same name as the field, avoiding generating an all-at-once builder method for the field because the names would conflict. I see. So in this case, arg, env. You're gonna head out? All right, Maddie Live. You take care. Have a good evening. Does Rust work with Godot? It does. Why am I using GDScript and Rust and not just one of them? That's a good question. So the majority of the time I am using Rust with Godot, and we're using the GD native project. Okay. For me personally, because I'm the sole developer on this, it makes it easier for me mentally to go between the client and the server code. Also, if we want to be able to use the server code in the client, it needs to be Rust, because the server is written in Rust. That's very useful for serialization of data types and a bunch of other stuff. Island generation, because the server and the client both need to be able to generate the same world. I do use Godot or GDScript on the client in places where, like, I'm debugging something. I think that in most cases people should use GDScript on the client because it's made for Godot. It's just it works really well, and I think that should be like what happens all the time. Like, people just use GDScript, and then you use something else when you need the performance, right? You're generating some code, etc. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think that it would be beneficial for me to actually use a lot more GDScript on the client if I can manage to not get tripped up between the language switch, going back and forth between GD native, Rust, and GDScript all the time. I've also been using Rust just to be able to learn, just learn it like all the way through inside of Godot, and that has been very, very insightful. All right, so for this, we've got to go back here, save that. Gonna go back to lib. Now they're saying that attributes have to be builder like that. Oh, I see. Oh, you're welcome. And happy Friday. Now going back to their documentation, resources, attribute, and meta. Okay. And how is this going to be used? So arg, and in this case, it's a vector. They said that we could presume that it was going to be a vector. So we'll have to look at the name here, that little token stream there. And in this case, it's going to be a different type for the builder. This is also interesting in that they didn't call ENV, which makes it look optional, actually. So these elements must be optional then as well. Look for the field attribute. Each on each field generated code may assume that the field with this attribute have the type vec and should use the word given in the string literal as the name for the corresponding builder method. Alright. It doesn't really say anything about them being optional, like one of these must have been provided, etc. What are you, Toro? Let's see. You feel like it's the same as working on a place where people speak more than one language. Sometimes you can get confused for a moment, but the different ways, different languages structure thought more than make up for it in the bringing new ideas around. I think so too. Me too. I think that, yeah. GD script is really, really made for Godot. It's concise, it's efficient time-wise. So given that I want this thing to be running and working in a year, I think I'll have to bite the bullet and just go into a multilingual kind of development system here. All right. So we're going to have to look at these, check to see if there is some attribute on that. All right, where do we find that? So here's lib. Let's start at the top here. We get our input stream. And this is the token stream of the struct, or what might be a struct. So we parse macro input, keep track of our root span so we can throw some errors out if we want to. So if it's not a struct, but if it's an enum or a union, we error that out. And if the fields are not named, we also error. Because with Rust structs, you can have unnamed ones, right? If you have a tuple type or a unit struct. All right, then for every one of the fields, we need to know what its type is. This here, this code that's generated, let's see, what is it? It's an iterator because we're not collecting here. We're generating an iterator that produces a token stream. And you'll see the same pattern here. Token stream is being generated, token stream generated, etc. Now if we look at where fields is used down below, where do we use it? Here. This is where we generate the whole thing. We add the builder function that returns the builder type with its defaults, all of which are going to be none except for the vectors. Interesting, those should now be vectors that are empty. So we need some way to know if that attribute is there. We don't want options anywhere, we want a vector. All right. So maybe we should have something else instead of just is optional. Trait list. I don't know. There's got to be a better name that we can give this. Hardest thing in programming. Naming it. Repeated. We could do something like that. Is repeated. No. Doing the same thing where we just call a function. We're adding a function to that type. Oh, no. That needs to be on the field, doesn't it? Because the field is what's going to have the info on it. We'll just return false for now. Well, let's look at this. Now, when we are creating the defaults, here, we want to know whether or not this is something that's repeated. If f is repeated, we do one thing, otherwise we do the other. And we didn't need the type. All right. So in one case, we'll have a vector of whatever the type is, and in the other case, we'll have nothing. Now these are the defaults. So we actually want to have new there. Okay. And then for the setters, I think maybe we don't have setters for these. So if it's repeated, we wouldn't return something like this. Or we return the other type. Good question. So Louise, is it this quote macro here, the way that it actually takes ownership of these values and provides them in here is via the pound sign. So in this case, we are generating a token stream, which in the way that a proc macro works, you take an input of a token stream and you provide the compiler with an output of a token stream. So tokens come in, tokens come out, right? It's essentially the syntax tree. Now, in this case, in order to build up these tokens, we have to have them in scope, right? They can't be very complicated, so we couldn't do like $borrow f.ty inside of here. So we have to have simple variable names that we can reference inside of the generated token stream. And that's what quote is doing. It's creating a token stream for us. So it will take the name value. It'll take ownership of that and put it inside of here. Oh yeah, we are working through the Proc-macros at the moment. So Ditolne's Proc-macro workshop. Okay, let's get those set up. So if it's repeated, we'll have some sort of setter that essentially, goodness, it's going to be very, very similar. But instead of replacing, we're going to be pushing onto there and returning immutable self. Because in this case, self.name is going to be a vector, and in this case, it'll be an option. All right, let's keep going down. That's the setters. And then for the builder, so if it's an option, we do this, else we'll do something else there. Otherwise that. Oh, interesting. What are we going to do with a vector? So when we call build, do we end up owning that? In fact, this take might not be necessary if we're just deconstructing that thing. Oh no, build takes a reference to immutable self. Interesting. So we do have to take, because self in this case is a mutable reference, it's an exclusive reference, but still it's a reference, which means that this vector here it's a vector of t, and then in this case it's an option of t. Same there. All right. Let's say I want to take everything out of a vector. I want to take everything out of it. I want to replace it with something that's empty. I guess we could use standard mem replace, couldn't we? Why don't we do that? So we give the destination and then the value we want to move into it, and then it'll give us the original value back. So we could give it empty vector, essentially. Or we could do a drain collect. That's the other option. Give it the entire range, collect into it. What is this one? Build self. Yep, that one's fine. All right. So implementing the original type, adding builder to it. Our defaults will go there. We covered those. In the case of a vector, we should have the defaults for a vector. So basically an empty vector. And then we import our builder, providing its fields. I think I missed something in here, or I got it backwards. Okay, we might have to look at that again. Because I think fields I might have messed up. Yeah, we didn't even handle it here. We have to borrow. As quote takes ownership. Now that's going to be just the type information, so we don't want to create a new one there. And we get rid of colon colon. Okay, that might be more correct. We did not end up putting attributes on here. Oops. Oh yeah, there was a whole other step we missed. All right. So this needs to be replaced with the other value. Let's get this one here. It's not getting the vector type because we didn't actually set that up. Let's go ahead and set that up. Yeah, we just returned false here, which is fine. Visibility public. So we're looking at the field now. We want to know whether or not there was something on it. Alright, so this is the identifier for bar. And it does have attributes here. We should be able to check to see if the attribute is a builder. And then if its tokens are each equals, and then something here. I wonder what like a good way of matching those is. We'll look up attributes. Field attrs. It's a vector of attribute. Rust has 6 types of attributes. Interesting. All right, so we end up with a path and then the tokens. Oh, interesting. And because you might end up having comments, you have outer and inner. Got it. Wow. Lots of options here. Pressing from attribute to structured arguments. Dot comments. Wow, there's so much in here. There's just so much. Alright, so maybe we should impl parse on this then. Oh, not that one. 07, repeated fields. Yeah, because we're just gonna do parse args on that, or the builder. So we'd say path is ident on that. Oh, let's see, what was it? It's supposed to be, yeah, builder lowercase. Oh, I see. This has to be if any one of them is this. And what if you had multiple builders? Do we just use the first one? Ooh, questions.
Yeah, it's time to learn a little bit about the domain process. When you're doing your process improvement projects, you should follow this path. First you got define, then you got
Let's return something else. Let's return
then you improve, and then you gotta control your process.
whatever the identifier is in this case.
I know that you're on the grind. It's no good if you can't define the problem on hand. Call it out, grab your bands before you
All right.
solve. Make sure you understand. Go smarter, pull out your project charter.
I called you tonight. I've been thinking this for
So if the attribute path is ident, then we do our stuff. Otherwise, we return false. I guess in this case, we could just look to see if it has a builder and say it's true or false. But if we wanted to return an option to something, let's say token stream, it's probably going to change again. Alright, we'll rename that later. In this case, if we do have something like this, and the attribute is one of these, we'll return some tokens. Now, that path, the attribute's path, we were looking at this before. Build attributes. And in this case, we have the ability to implement parse for our struct. I wonder what a parse stream is. It's in parse stream. Huh. Macros are expected to check the path of the attribute, decide whether or not they recognize it, and then parse the remaining tokens according to whatever grammar they wish to require for that kind of attribute. If the attribute you are parsing is expected to conform to the conventional structured form of attribute, use parse meta. To obtain that structure, okay. If the attribute follows some other grammar of its own, use parse args to parse that into the expected data structure. Interesting. We have the 5 examples up here. Comments. Okay. Parse args with, and we could give it a parser. Parse outer, parse inner. So given a T, you have it parse that. The surrounding delimiters are not included in the output of the parser, and Oh, what is this parse to? Parse a proc macro 2 token stream into the chosen syntax tree node. This function parses a proc macro token stream, which is commonly useful when the input comes from a node of a syntax tree. For example, the body token of a macro. So we end up with a parse stream in this case. Now what's the responsibility of a parse stream? To return a result of a self. Oh wow, look at all these. So if we get a parse stream, what can we do with that? The type alias to a parse buffer. Cursor position within the buffer token stream. Calling a parser function. Wow. I feel like we should have been using this. I don't think we were pushed in this direction yet. So you'll have to go through one of the public parsing entry inputs. Parse stream macro input, macro, okay. One of the syn parse functions, or a method of a parser trade. All right, so going back, now there's so much stuff in there. There is so much. Why did the belt go to jail? He held up a pair of pants. All right, just sneak those in there. It looks like parse is implemented for a huge number of elements. So if we go forward a couple, nope, forward and forward again. Token tree, punctuation, option. Wow. So where were we? Yes, we were in here. Checking to see if the attribute path is identifier builder If it is, then we want to look at all right, we'll just say that's unimplemented to do whatever. Okay, this should fail gloriously. Good. So we have a path, and it did match builder, which is why this failed. Then we have tokens. And we need some way to parse this token stream. Let's go look at token stream for a moment. There's something odd here. So we end up with tokens. This is a token stream with a number of elements inside of it. The first one's going to be a group. It has parentheses, etc. Now, if we go back to attribute, so we could have it parse args with. We could create a parser for that. Or we could return a T where T implements this. So if we had a struct builder attribute, and this had the name, we'll say it's something like a name. What was it? Impl parse. And what's the location of parse? Sin parse parse. All right. Now in this case, we want to take that parse stream and do something with that. What can we do with the parse stream? Read the module documentation. Alright, so we could have an item, which is a blah blah blah, item struct. Oh. Sorry, my head just exploded. So I'm starting to get it. So if we peek and the tokens are struct, input parse map, item struct. And this is returning a self, which is either going to be this one or that one. Where's item enum? Let's see, item enum defined. Otherwise, they bail. Oh wow. Just wow. So essentially we could have done this in, I guess, a different way with basically a look ahead, etc. on this and parse the individual pieces. That is miracle. I feel like I'm too far behind to be able to do that though. I mean, that seems like it's quote unquote the easy way, and we're just getting to that. Because down here, if we were to parse item struct, content, token struct is input.parse, and what is the type of that? Token, ident, brace, and then fields. We just have our fields there. So you just basically get top to bottom, parse this, etc., etc. What about content? Where is content? Okay, I don't get the content bit here. Content, parse terminated. I see there's some sort of macro here in that. Okay, what is content? Content. So we have our brace token, content and input, and then somehow that's associated with these fields here. And we have a parse terminated. Okay, field, parse named. Oh, this does look like it would be, quote unquote, the easy way. If you knew of all of these, like parse terminated, parse named, parse any, stir arg's body. All right. Because once you had your structure, you could just pull what you wanted out of it. But is there any benefit to having, I guess, your own structure over their structures? Well, kind of. It gives you a structure. Basically enforce your parser with. Yeah, because what we've done here is manually thrown errors where this could have errored out for us. Would this have given this the right kind of errors though? Would it have said, no, this isn't the right info? All right. So we're to this point where I either need to handle these in a slightly different way, or redo a bunch of it. Ooh, that's challenging. All right. Let's go forward with this pattern that we're going with, and maybe in the next one it'll change up. So, attribute. Over tokens, that's a token stream. All right, we're just going to do a parse args on that. Expected to found one. Oh, because we need the error type. What? Wrong place. There we go. All right, and parse isn't satisfied for that. say that's unimplemented. Does it satisfy it now? Huh. It's in parse vars. Should be this. Ah. Just for builder attribute. Good. Mismatched types, expected unit type, found often a string. Or return that. Oh, that needs to be a token string. Token stream. I think it should probably be a token. Or no, a type. Huh. Maybe it's a path? Well, it could return like a ident, maybe? Oh, that's in quote. Where is it? So format ident returns what? I would expect it to be an ident, but what type of ident? Doesn't look like a sin ident, but it looks like a proc-macro one. Alright, so we'll have the ident there, we'll have our input at this point. I'm going to parse that input. Can we do peak with token? And what were they calling it? Each. I don't know, something like that. We'll just see if it works. Mismatched types. Ah, that needs to be we can just into on it. It should convert it properly. No, guess not. Alright, so it's not going to be a token because... was there an each in there? No. Each isn't a language token. It's not a keyword here. They're looking for specific things there, and we can't do that. We need to check to see if it's equal to a specific word. What does look ahead give us? Parse buffer. What about cursor? So we'll have a look ahead, and this of course isn't going to work. Alright, and what can we do with a look ahead? Look ahead 1. We can peek and see if it's equal to a token. Ah, and it can be an ident. Peek any. Now, what does this peek in? Where is that? Oh, whoa, go back. Look ahead. What is this peak trait? Token walker. Types that can be parsed by looking at just one token. Ah, it's sealed and cannot be implemented outside of SYN. Fine. Oh, I see. That's on IdentiXT. There's extension traits for these types. Oh my goodness. Wow, look at that. Custom keyword, name. This is like exactly what we want. Okay, let's look at custom keyword for a moment. Ah, no link. Wow. Each. Keyword. Each. So if we find that, so in this case, we're returning an argument. I see, but we have to basically keep track of these elements, otherwise we wouldn't be able to use the input parse methods here. So if we didn't want to keep a hold of the stir token or the equal token, we could provide those values here, but then we would be losing elements, and it seems like that's against the spirit of the parser. So these builder attributes would have the each, token equals, capital T, and then that. So if we peek at that and we have one of those, we'll start to build a builder attribute. Each is input parse. Why do they have to provide this type here? Isn't it known because of the value on this side? Actually, what's inside of a lit stir? Box. Little quote foo. What's the syntax-free node? In the context. Because we want to get the value out. So in this example here, parses the path from an attribute that looks like such and such, which is kind of what we want. I see, so we could return an option path. So if it is not an ident path, we do a parse meta. This is that giant mapping. We end up with the stir here. The lit stir. We just call parse map sum on it. Okay. So I like where our code is going. And instead of this, I think we should call parse. We'll just give it sum. But if we cannot parse that, expected option found result. Parse gives us a result back. Oh. Okay. We're going to return a path though. Yes, those are never used. Yeah, we get it. So where were we with this? Oh goodness, that was a long time in Wonderland there. Looking through this, we need our function name to be different. So in this case, bar here should be named differently. let's search for setters. There, it's going to be in here. If let sum function name is equal to this. Iron oxidizer, good morning. So now, hopefully that will be correct. Let's give it another expand, and then our setter should be bar. Good. Okay, so we got that. That was quite the rabbit hole. How you doing, iron oxidizer? What else do we need? I think in the constraints. Oh, this might work. Haven't caught one of my afternoon streams before. And no, I hardly stream in the afternoon. Well, my afternoon. I usually stream before work. So I'll tend to stream in my afternoon if I have a day off. Expected struct vac on string. Ooh, that's true. Here the type is wrong. Because we have to do the same thing. It's the repeated one. Ah. There's got to be a better way to do this. And I mean, it's basically the same thing here. I'm just going to make it work first. We'll come back and clean it up in a bit. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, normally I stream about kind of 6 o'clock my time to after 9 sometime. In fact, I should probably get going soon. But generally, yeah, it's my new schedule is 6:30 to 9:30 EST. Well, it's good to see you. It's been a while. Self.tie there. Yeah, this is so close. I think in this case we should probably error out. If this is failing, we shouldn't actually hit this down here. We'll just mark them as unimplemented for now. Are they passing? Oh, they are. Get little OKs in there, mixed in. Okay. All right. So it looks like just 7 failed. Okay, 6 worked. I need to get rid of that. Basically, the dead code stuff. No, that's not going to be public. This is interesting because now it's kind of forcing me to kind of parse those off. Keyword KW. So in this case, we are parsing each equals quote name. Okay. Just to be consistent. I know it can figure it out, but it felt weird that the last one didn't have it, but the first 2 did, etc. All right. Okay. Give it a test. Should have cleaner output this time. Much better. Okay. Now what failed? Yeah, we know we're dumping out the token streams, whatnot. That's fine. Vector string cannot be built from an iterator over elements of type. Vector string. I see, so it's a vector of vectors. It's an iterator of vector string. Really? Hey, Jummit, how's it going? Ah, this here is wrong. This should be an... Yeah, that should be a vector. So bad, shouldn't have been an option, should have been a vector. Now a vector string, vector vector string, which is not correct. Let's go back to our lib. And where we were creating the, oh, which section is that? Here, our fields. Okay. So if it's repeated, this isn't the right spot, is it? It says field name. Here. Alright, so there we have our repeated type. Hopefully it's matched up better. Vector vector string. Alright. That is incorrect. That's why wouldn't we keep the original type? We should check to make sure that it's something that we can push into. Or that we can collect into. Oh, that's interesting. It's our repeated type here. I was expecting this to give us the inner type. Well, I was kind of expecting it to fall through. I see. Too many wraps. That's odd. Oh no, we screwed up the wrong one. Okay, that's... Yep, that's vector type there. I was looking at the wrong set. These are the defaults. I don't really like the solution I've come up with. I think there's a cleaner way to do all of this. But I want to get to the next exercise and try the other pattern for this. I think it could be much, much nicer. So our builder has vector string new. Good. That looks fine. Ah, and where we go to push, this should just be a string. So bar push bar. And our setters. Okay, there's our repeated type. Now we're pushing a string on, that's good. Then when we collect, we drain collect into bar. Should be a vector. Now you guys gotta be like seriously into Rust to watch this. And it passed. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. Rust is life. You think of it as ASMR programming? Yeah. I do the same thing. I was listening to, what was it, Togglebit yesterday on 2x speed. I like listening to Togglebit on 2x. It was a long stream though, and I didn't have that much time, so with the occasional bad pun or 5. What are you talking about? None of my ducks out there ever have spare change. They only carry bills. All right. Ba-dunch. Progress. Oh, there's 2 more. Unrecognized attribute and then redefined prelude types. Oh man. Let's see what's in store for next time. Compile fail. 08. Ensure that your macro reports a reasonable error message when the caller mistypes the inert attribute in various ways. This is a compile failed test. The preferred way to report an error from a procedural macro is by including an invocation of the standard library's compile error macro in the code emitted by the procedural macro. Okay, then we have 2 compile error there. Got it. I see. So if they have each there, and the error we're supposed to output. All right, expected builder each equals ... Okay. And then it gives location. How close are we? There's no work in progress on there? Oh, it should fail to compile, but it succeeded. Oh, goodness. Okay. Why did that succeed? So if we do that, oh, it doesn't care? Where is it? Where is it? We will find it. See, this input parsing here should have failed. Keyword each should have been there. Why would that not fail? Oh, I see. It actually failed instead. So that error didn't actually get pushed back out.
Been around the world, been to many places, and I've seen beautiful faces. And sometimes I get lost, wishing I could have everything, but everything is not seen without you.
So if that does fail, so we just say look at an error. Or input error. Basically, we just need to return a result. So, So what are we calling parse? Parse args here. I see. I've ended up conflating these 2 paths. Yeah. All right. So we'll probably pick that up tomorrow. might have a little free time later to clean this up, so we can get on to the next exercise. But it's starting to gel. I'm starting to get a little bit better understanding of how Proc-macros work. I'm really looking forward to being able to use these. I think this could stamp out quite a bit of usable code. All right. We're gonna see if we can catch a Sanson Tech guy here. So we've got Eric.dev, myself. I'm gonna scroll down. How many Rust streamers are there out there? All right, we're going Eric.dev today. And as always, if you want to catch us offline, there's the Discord. Let's see. Where did this go? Well, thank you, Iron Oxidizer. Discord is online. All right, y'all. I gotta get to work. So until next time, bye-bye.